Welcome to Tuesday, the 11th day of June, 2024, your Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by Wyoming State Parks. Well, summer's here, and Wyoming State Parks and historic sites are gearing up with a season of fun and educational summer events. Visit these parks' respective Facebook pages for more information on these upcoming events. Well, the front is moving out of the region, not completely. As you'll see, there's still going to be active shower and thunderstorm activity in the Colorado, Kansas, parts of Nebraska, into the Panhandles and into New Mexico today. But for the central and northern Rockies, it's going to be pretty dry. So the number of rainbows will be less today, as you see in the picture, but there's still going to be some out there later on. As drier air is coming in behind the front, it's coming in from the north and west and moving south. However, residual moisture is going to be found in parts of eastern Colorado, basically out onto the plains. And as we'll show you here in a moment, a little bit of moisture will creep back northward along the Front Range later on this afternoon. Very warm summer temperatures will be expanding across the west throughout the next 2 to 3 days. It's just going to be summer. And for today, and especially tomorrow, we're looking at that thunderstorm coverage decreasing some. Although, as we get into Thursday, we'll see a few more, and then we'll see moisture increasing up from the southwest again. And Friday and Saturday will be 2 days of active thunderstorm activity, especially east of the divide, less to the west of the divide. And then we go right back into a drier, warmer pattern by Sunday and Monday. We're just settling into a summer pattern. Some great video here from thunderstorms wanting to develop across southeastern Wyoming yesterday afternoon. And you can see the time lapse here, the structure of the updraft and the storm system. You can see a lot of movement there at the base. Actually, this thunderstorm did very little in terms of producing any significant rain, but that wasn't the case everywhere. There was some really good rain producing thunderstorms in some areas of the high plains yesterday. But with the air mass drying out some, we're going to see those thunderstorms a little bit less. Nonetheless, a really good situation if you want to get the camera out and catch some great photos like you're seeing here. And then the aftermath, a beautiful sunset to end the day. The satellite imagery shows the trough and the front extending from south central Canada. There's the frontal boundary that came through. Here's the high pressure ridge and the warmer, drier air coming in behind it, the next low there in the Pacific Northwest. You see this little tail right here? Well, what will happen a lot of times is these fronts come down the Front Range. There'll be a little bit of pooling of moisture right up against the divide as the main system heads away. Kind of it gets left behind. And that moisture left behind is what's going to lead to showers and thunderstorms to the areas to the south, which you'll see here in a moment. There's the upper level low. The main frontal system heading off to the east, and then you can see a little bit of high pressure wanting to build on in, and more of a westerly flow bringing that drier air. So this is where the thunderstorm coverage will be today, where that moisture is left behind from West Texas, arching along where that frontal boundary is into the upper Midwest. Notice, though, on the western edge, there's going to be just enough moisture that some of those areas far to the west of that boundary might see some thunderstorms on an isolated basis, but very little going on in the northern plains, northern Rockies, and areas west of the divide today. And you can see this is where the thunderstorms might pop up, real concentrated there into New Mexico and areas of Colorado and West Texas. This is where the thunderstorms will be tomorrow, more towards the upper Midwest. And a lot of the other parts of the nation, really not too much going on. A very quiet day tomorrow, with the exception of up here where there will be some severe weather. Now on Thursday, we do see moisture starting to wick back towards the Front Range again into the high plains. So we'll probably start to see thunderstorm activity picking up again along those areas, not widespread, maybe getting west of the divide. Then as we get into Friday and Saturday, we'll show you the next plume. Temperatures will be very warm. This is the temperature anomaly for the next 5 days. So all across this region, temperatures will be at or above average. Hottest back into Salt Lake, back into Las Vegas, and still very warm relative to average across portions of Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, really the whole region. By Friday, we see the high shifting a little bit more to the east. And this looks familiar because this is exactly what happened last Friday and Saturday. We have a little trough coming in. The clockwise circulation around the high brings this upper level low right across this area right here. That will increase the moisture. That will increase the instability. And with strong daytime heating, Friday and Saturday will bring an uptick in thunderstorm coverage, especially along and east of the divide. Then that system will rotate out, move out into the plain states. High pressure will come in behind it, and we'll basically see the pattern repeat itself with another period of very warm, dry weather, likely at the end of the weekend into the start of next week. And there you can see in the precipitable water for Friday, that moisture increasing. And this is what your thunderstorm coverage will look like Friday and into Saturday. Notice Friday, it's on both sides of the divide. Saturday, there's more of a push of that moisture off to the east as that upper level low begins to exit the region and drier air comes in again. So we just see kind of a cycle here where upper level lows and increasing moisture will cycle through. You'll get a gap of drier air. Then we wait for the next situation to come on through. That's basically a typical early summer pattern. This is by Sunday. You can see that there's still some residual moisture along the front range, but Sunday the thunderstorm coverage decreases. Looking long term, wanted to show you this. Now this is about 10 days from now, so we're looking around the 20th of June. What you do start to see as summer matures, as you get deeper into summer, you tend to a lot of times see a high pressure system setting up in this part of the world right here. It'll vacillate back and forth, but what you'll see during the course of the summer is this high will go a little east at times. It will go a little west at times. It'll kind of go back and forth. You'll tend to get some areas of low pressure that doesn't necessarily ever reach the coast or gets close. And what'll happen is, imagine the air going clockwise around the high. And what'll happen is when we get a pattern that sets up like this later in June and into July, is we basically watch this high for a good part of the summer. And is it going to go east or west? Is it going to go a little north or south? This becomes a regulator of moisture flow due to the circulation, because it's less about the jet stream, which is more up here now. It's less about frontal systems and troughs coming from the Pacific as summer matures, and it's more about this high. And it tends to regulate the Gulf of moisture flow coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico and to some extent off the eastern Pacific. This flow of moisture is dictated by where this high sits. This configuration, 10 days out from now, is a configuration where we start to see better moisture come into Mexico than eventually the desert states, then rotating across into the Rockies and into the plain states. A lot of times you'll hear the expression, the ring of fire around the summer high. And this is kind of what we're seeing. If we look at the precipitable water, this is by the 21st of June. Imagine the high is here, and you see the drier air underneath it. The clockwise circulation around that high starts to bring in the higher humidity air in. So Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, the Four Corners region, the western slope of Colorado, you start to see the deeper moisture come in. And that leads to those afternoon and evening thunderstorms. It also leads to just persistent summer heat. I talked about the ring. You can see it if you look. The air goes around the high, so does the moisture. And so what will happen is you'll get that ring of fire of showers and thunderstorms. And then what will happen is as the high shifts to the west, that closes the door to the moisture. And you'll see a break in the thunderstorms as the high shifts back to the east, where I just showed you, the door opens. So kind of imagine that high open and closing the door to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's something typical that you'll get as summer matures later into June, July, and into August. It's something to kind of keep an eye on. It appears to be a couple of weeks, 10 to 14 days away from that pattern starting to establish itself. Have yourself a very good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.